The role of native and non-native speakers in ELT is a topic that impacts many of us, whether we are teachers or students, and it is one that's evolving as language education continues to grow. For many years, native speakers were seen as ultimate role models for teaching English. To believe was simple. If you're a native speaker, you are the best person to teach the language. But when we look deeper, we realize that both native and non-native speakers bring valuable strengths to the table. It's not about who's better, it's about what each group offers, and now those strengths can work together. Let's start with native speakers. There is something deniably special about hearing English spoken by someone who has lived and breathed it in their real life. Imagine sitting in a classroom with a teacher who speaks to you just like a friend, using idioms, phrasal verbs, and expressions that feel natural and effortless. Native speakers have a fluency that allows students to get a true sense of how the language feels in real life situations. For example, a native speaker can explain the difference between I'm starving and I'm hungry effortlessly. To a native speaker, these phrases are simply part of their vocabulary, but a student might be confused about why we choose one over the other in different contexts, while a native speaker can model the usage, explaining why one phrase is more appropriate than the other can sometimes be tricky. Native speakers can also give students a deeper understanding of culture. For example, imagine learning how to talk about the weather in English. A native speaker might say, "It's raining cats and dogs," and explain that is a common, informal way of saying it's raining heavily. To students, this could be fascinating, but they also need help understanding why such expressions exist and when to use them. This is where non-native teachers often step in and fill in the gap. Now let's talk about non-native speakers. These teachers have been through the process of learning English themselves. They remember what it's like to get confused by things like articles, word order, or irregular verbs. Because of this, non-native speakers know how to explain things in simple terms because they have had to do it themselves. I remember as a student learning English, one of my teachers who has non-native, normally we are, because we are in Turkey, whatever, she walked us through the rules for using the present perfect tense. She explained how we use it to talk about something that started in the past and has an effect on the present. She didn't just say use the present perfect, and she gave us clear examples like I have been to Paris versus I went to Paris, showing how the present perfect links past actions to the present moment. It was this clear explanation that helped us understand the difference, but non-native speakers face their own challenges. They sometimes feel pressure to sound perfect, to speak with a native like accent, or use flawless grammar. I have seen many non-native teachers in my university get nervous when they make small mistakes, and though these mistakes don't stop them from being great teachers, this pressure can make them question their abilities, but truth is they're often better position explain how to learn a language because they have been through it themselves. So what happens when we bring these two groups together? Think about a classroom that a native speaker might introduce a lesson on idioms, saying it's raining cats and dogs outside, and explaining that is an expression meaning heavy rain. Then a non-native speaker could step in and help students understand why it's not just about the rain but the intensity of it, breaking down the history of grammar behind expressions and like this, and how students can use them confidently in their own speech. So let's celebrate the strengths of both native and non-native speakers and remember that Teaching isn't about having a perfect accent or flawless grammar. It's about helping students connect with the language, understand it, and use it in real world situations. Thank you for listening.